Maintaining a healthy low back really isn't all that difficult. If I could boil everything down into one simple concept for everybody, vast majority of offices, I ask them, hey, what's your number one source of new patient acquisition? They say, word of mouth, referrals, everything. That's not a good thing to solely hang on to. The point of your page is to sell the fact that you can help with low back pain. Why are you making posts about your dogs? Who's my target audience? What are they coming to my page to resolve? How can I give them the closest possible plan to resolving that? People are gonna love it.
Introduce yourself as if someone was introducing you, like who you are, what you do, like let everyone kind of know real quick.
Oh my gosh, okay. My name is Grant Elliott. I live in Tampa, Florida. I'm from Central Indiana. I got a wife, I got 2 little boys. I'm a chiropractor that quickly realized staying in just a brick and mortar, just adjusting people was not A, the most effective for people's health, but also B, would not get my lifestyle, my business to where I wanted it to be. So I took everything online, created an online low back rehab program to help people fix their back pain all over the world, grew that. And now we just focus on that, as well as helping other chiropractors and physical therapists now grow their businesses.
So we're going to dive into the business stuff. A question I did want to ask you though, is because I've met you a few times. You're probably one of the more polite people I've met, like almost not over the top, I shouldn't say, but you're very polite, right? In a good way. And so I actually wanted to ask you why are you so polite? Was that how you were raised, or is it just something you got in business? Cause I think it's a good thing for people to learn, but you seem to be very good at it. Like maybe patience is the word I'm looking for. Like you seem very patient. So yeah, I'm curious, like, is there anything that happened in your childhood or your life that just has made you that way?
Well, unique perspective. I'm not used to getting that comment. If anything, I would say I've grown more towards that type of characteristic as I've gotten older. Okay. I'm assuming I was much less patient and probably much less polite, as you're saying, probably in like high school and early college. But now, I mean, honestly, I think business did that. Because really let me phrase it this way. Let's rewind. Okay. I've always been into the gym and working out. Whenever I'm in the gym, I'm just headphones on in the zone. And when I'm doing stuff outside the gym, I'm just, in my own zone. And then once I started my own business, which first started as a brick and mortar office in Tampa, I realized like, I got to talk to people as much as possible to meet as many people as possible to grow this local business. So for the first year of my business, I didn't listen to music in the gym anymore, for the purpose of hearing conversations people were saying, to find opportunities to start conversations with new people, to form new connections, and to get business. So I completely stopped wearing headphones, and I just looked for any opportunity to start conversations. And it became so easy. I would look at someone's shoes that were a unique design. I'd be like, hey man, I like your shoes because of X, Y, Z. Oh, you do this? Okay, conversation. And then that would either lead to someone who they know who had pain I could help with, or they would be struggling with something themselves. So I think I developed a skill rather for, I guess, I generally had to be polite to just give off the best vibe and experience interacting with people that I can. And then it kind of just stuck.
And then what made you decide on being a chiropractor? I'm sure there's a lot of pathways you could have gone down. What actually made you decide to get into that?
Yeah, always into health and fitness my whole lives. I'm the youngest of 3 boys, and my parents made all of us, not made, that's a bad word, but we were all into sports, and our punishments were all fitness related. So we did something wrong, 50 push-ups. We did something wrong, run a mile. We did something wrong, 100 squats. Like, those were our punishments. Yeah. And so we were into wrestling and football and track and all those things. My grandparents were super healthy throughout my upbringing, and I just saw them just prescription, surgery, procedure after procedure. And I was like, has anyone tried to tell you to be healthy? And that was never a recommendation. It was just, here's the pill. So I knew I wanted to go into something health, fitness related. And then I developed back pain myself when I was racing cross-country mountain bikes. When I was 16, 17, I started really impacting my races because I was good and I was getting scholarships for it. And it started making me bail out of my races. Went to a traditional chiropractor, who I know now is a traditional old school chiropractor. Oh, here's your x-ray, your spine's crooked, come back 3 times a week for this 2-second adjustment and come back forever. And I did that for 4 months and nothing changed. I stopped racing. I just got into working out because I needed an outlet. And then I met a chiropractor at the gym and I just watched the way he was doing exercises and he was doing cool mobility stuff to warm up. And I was like, hey, what do you do? And he's like, I'm a chiropractor. And I was like, talk to me about what you do. And then I went and shadowed him, and I was like, this is the complete opposite of what I experienced. He was actually teaching people how to fix themselves, doing soft tissue work and rehab. And I thought it was super cool. So I was like, if I had received this, I would have been better. So I'm going to do this so I can be better. And that's what made me want to be a chiropractor.
How do you balance that with the business side? So obviously trying to help someone and fix themselves forever is great, but it technically also could be bad for the business, right? Because if they stop coming in, you're not making money. So like, what's your mindset on that, and how do you balance it?
Yeah, so I've developed, I think, the best mindset I possibly can about it. But to harp on one component, you're absolutely right. Here's why helping someone remove their pain is so much worse of a business model than helping someone make money. Yeah. Because if you help someone make money, then they want more help making more money. And you make them more money, then they want more help making more money.
Right.
If I take away someone's pain, they can't pay me more to go from 0 to more 0 of pain. It's not possible.
Right.
So once you resolve the problem, your benefit is gone. So the more I help someone, the less valuable I am. So really, I'm fine with that. And I've learned to charge an amount that I believe is the most I can possibly charge for that service. And I think it's worth it. And I think it's valuable. And as long as we're getting paid what we feel we're worth to help someone resolve an issue one time, if they don't need us ever again, then that's completely fine.
Do most people stick with it? Because I'm assuming once you fix it, they got to keep doing it, right? It's like maintenance. So I'm just curious, on average, I would assume maybe 80% of people don't stick with it, where they actually get the pain coming back because they don't do what they're told. Is it like that, or is it way less?
I think if we were a cheap service that didn't ingrain commitment and lifestyle change, then yes. However, we have very, very rarely had any of our clients come back and say, hey, I had a flare up, or hey, I need another session, like another program with you guys. That has happened honestly maybe 2 times. Like very, very few. And it's because, one, we charge enough so people pay attention and they hold themselves accountable. Therefore, it becomes a part of their life. And maintaining a healthy low back really isn't all that difficult. The concept I related to is, let's say you help someone lose 50 pounds. Okay, whatever caloric deficit they needed to be in to lose 50 pounds the fastest, they don't have to stay at that caloric deficit forever. They can back off of it and find a balance. Well, it's the same thing with your back pain. If you find a few key exercises that help you completely resolve it, you don't have to keep doing a whole bunch of rehab every single day to maintain the results. It's really just, hey, now I just need an active lifestyle. I'm just going to walk more. I'm going to work out a few days a week. And before I work out, I'm going to do this 3-minute routine that incorporates these movements in my low back that will keep it healthy for life. So it's really quite basic.
So I worked at a chiropractic clinic for a bit when I was younger. I obviously wasn't the chiropractor, but that I did notice that most people who seemed to come in, that my mindset was, you guys need to work out, right? Like a lot of people who came in who have pain, I just felt like, man, you guys just are not active. So you sit around all day, and sitting around, even when I sit around, I'll get a lot of hip, like in my hip flexors and stuff, they get really tight. So the question is, why do most people have pain? Is it just because they're not active and they're not moving around? They're not strength training? Is it a mix? Like, why do people, get all this pain?
Well, you somewhat answered it in your initial story, is you saw a lot of people who needed to move, who weren't moving. So if I could boil everything down into one simple concept for everybody, how do you avoid pain? Why do you get in pain? Move more. Like, if in general, the entire population just moved 100% more, like we would see musculoskeletal issues and injuries just like plummet to the floor.
Why is that though? From like, I don't know if you can answer this, but from a scientific standpoint, why is it so bad to not move? Is it just because our muscles get tight, or is it because we're not like they get weaker, or like what's the actual core issue of not moving?
Yeah. So like movement is the language of our cells. So movement to any capacity is, let's go with a few basics here. Obviously it moves muscles. So it's using muscles to some capacity. It's using our musculoskeletal system to some capacity. It's moving lymph. It's moving fluid. It's moving blood flow. Like it's like movement is what any cell needs to be healthy. And your entire body is cells, and they'll feel pretty good if you're moving them. And if something is stagnant, like anything, like it's not getting that same stimulus to be able to adapt and to grow. Like, let's say if someone's trying to increase their bone mineral density or muscles, like it needs load to be able to respond. Well, if it has complete lack of stimulus, then it atrophies and you get deconditioning, and that's not good for tissue. It's not good for cells.
Moving over to the business side, because I know people are going to want to, learn about this. That's where most of the
Yeah,
listeners
for
are
sure.
coming for.
Yeah, your audience. Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely want to hear about the money. So you obviously went into chiropractic. What was even the right way to say it? You went into
So I went into chiropractic. So I'm a doctor of chiropractic or chiropractic physician. Those are the same terms.
Perfect. So for some reason, when I said you went into chiropractic, it didn't sound like I finished it. Okay.
Chiropractic,
So you went into chiropractic. It sounded from earlier that the way you used to get clients was just kind of old school. So you did referrals, you were meeting people at the gym, stuff like that.
Yep.
Obviously, you're doing way better now. And I think a lot of that's because you use more advanced marketing compared to the average chiropractic clinic. Talk a little bit about how you get leads, right? So for the person listening to this, you know, you have a brick and mortar basically, or even if you're doing it online, right? Because I know you do that. How did you go from doing it old school and then what do you do now to where you became so successful?
Well, yeah, the biggest contrast there is not that brick and mortar is necessary. I'm not going to call it old school, but having access to the entire world instead of one city, I think would be a little bit more progressive. Sure. So yeah, we're 100% online at this point. But what helped me was when I was initially growing my pages. So social media helped me. Social media helped me massively. How did my social media help me launch a business so fast? It was because when I first started posting and I first set the goal of growing my social media, I had zero intention of making any money online. My only goal was to put the absolute best video and the best instructions I possibly could to get people to literally be able to fix themselves without me, purely to grow my page, so that when I graduated, when I moved back up to Indiana, which was the original plan to create a brick and mortar, that would purely be served as my portfolio. So I didn't care if I was giving away all the secrets and losing business because my content was too good. I didn't care. My intention was, this isn't designed to make me money, so I'm just going to put 100% of what I know out there. And that made my page grow incredibly fast. Right. And so then when I, real quick decided to move to Tampa 2 weeks before I was supposed to move to Indiana, the second I announced on my social media, I'm in Tampa, there were like 20 people within 24 hours. So like, hey, I live in Tampa. Can I come see you? Like immediately. So that was such a strong platform for my business to grow off of, just providing content as if it was impossible for me to make any money and just giving all the answers and not holding anything back. That is what grew my account so fast, and that's what launched my business so well.
And the intent again, you said it earlier, but I don't think I heard it. What was the reason you wanted to start doing that? It was just because?
Just because. I want to grow my account so I can use it as a portfolio for when I create a business eventually.
Wow.
That was the intention.
That's absolutely wild. So that's so cool to hear too, because I think for the average listener, something I've noticed with a lot of successful people is, even when I was trying to start new businesses, I was going around interviewing all these people, and I said, what made you come up with the idea? And no one ever said, oh, I read these books and I did this. And they're like, yeah, so I saw this thing and I saw how I could help, and then I just built it. And it's almost always comes from a place of where they didn't know what it was going to turn into, but they saw the opportunity kind of like you did, and then they put effort into it, and then it blossomed because there was a need. So I think that's a really cool point. So you start going online. What's the difference between, obviously you get a lot of clients from social media, so I think that was pretty self-explanatory. What's the difference between helping someone in person versus online? Because obviously they can't see you. So is it curriculum? Is it Zoom calls? Is it a mix? What do you do?
Yeah, so there's almost no difference, assuming the person has a common. So let's use our audience as the example. So low back pain. So 90% of low back pain is called non-specific low back pain, which means you can't trace it back to one specific thing, and 90% of it is movement-based. So off the bat, 90% of low back issues, they just need the right rehab, the right movements, and it can be fully resolved. So assuming we're talking about those people, if those people come into an office versus online, the difference is nothing, assuming the provider has an adequate skill level in assessing, taking a proper history, taking them through orthopedic testing, and prescribing the right movements. The difference is literally nothing. So if you had common low back pain, I would assess you in here, zero difference than if I was over in, Jamaica, doing a Zoom with you. It'd be no different. So the curriculum, if you will, of then how that's set up to be executed properly is not just session by session, Zoom or things like that, because that's going to consume a ton of time. And what's the most beneficial is structure and communication within that. Very, very similar to what you do through a business coaching standpoint. So we use an app that gives them step-by-step daily tasks to complete in regards to their plan. It has a video showing exactly what the exercise looks like, how to perform it, the specifics behind it, the exact prescription. So do it this many times, this time of day with the exact order. And then they have a limited communication with us through the app. So any questions, concerns, they can send videos of them doing the exercises so that we can analyze their form, send videos back, make sure they're doing it correctly. We have weekly check-in forms, and then they can also schedule Zoom calls on top of that. But for the most part, the Zoom calls are honestly rarely needed when effective communication is in place.
And then what's that process look like for getting those types of clients online? So obviously you have a social media, so obviously you'll get some of those organically. Do you also run ads? And if so, like how does that process work so someone can understand it?
Yep. So as you know, we've been trying to figure out how to improve our ads for quite some time, but because I have such a strong social media, my business is 99% organic social media. So really all of our main channels are Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. I put a lot of effort into YouTube over the last year. We just passed 500,000 subs on that like 3 days ago.
Bro, that's amazing.
So it was great. I started it November of 2022. Did
you get the plaque? They give you a little plaque
for 100K.
That's the one I want. That plaque. That's actually one of the plaques I want more than
You'll get
anything.
That plaque.
Yeah, the 100K. I know I'll get 100. But I also want to get to 1 million. But yeah, the 100K, I'm gonna have to shoot probably 7,000 videos, but I'll get there.
Yeah, we'll both get there. We'll both get to the million. So the main pages, of course, that's where all of our leads are generated.
Right.
Our primary call to actions go to booking an initial call. So 15-minute discovery call. You know our process. We discussed it. Free 15-minute discovery call. Actually make sure the person is dealing with a low back issue that is correct in that 90%. Like it's not uncommon. It's not common, but it's not uncommon that we'll have a discussion with someone and we're like, yeah, you need to go get this type of testing or you need to go see this provider. Like this isn't normal back pain. We've referred a few people to different testing and we were the ones that actually caught that they had a rare blood disease or cancer. We've caught cancer multiple times. And we're like, yeah, whoever you've been seeing, they did not do a good history. Like you don't need to be consulting rehab people. Like you need to go do this. Email us back. You had cancer. Like, so we want to make sure it's someone who is they have the type of back pain that is appropriate to pursue rehab. And then make sure they're the type that we can help.
That's all, obviously that's your focus, but will you help someone else if they have pain, but it's not their back or literally it's just back pain?
Well, because 100% of my posts are low back pain. Yeah. Rarely does someone reach out with another condition. So now one point is that because I talk about disc issues and sciatica issues all the time, people with neck disc issues, cervical disc issues will be like, hey, I see you posting about low back discs. Do you help with neck discs too? And the answer to that is yes. So if someone reaches out for that, yeah, we'll crush cervical disc issues all day long. But everything I talk about is low back.
Right.
So we will service someone if they reach out with another issue. But it's really, it's all low back. Some people reach out with neck issues, and rarely does anyone reach out for other things.
What is there a reason why people get so much low back pain? Is it just because it's in the middle of your body and it's kind of at the bending point?
It's the primary load point for everything. Okay. Like you use your low back for everything. You load your low back for everything. It's everything. But also another big component is the social understanding of it. Like a really, really harmful aspect is like the societal narrative about back pain and the medical narrative about back pain is, oh my gosh, your life is screwed. Like that's what everyone thinks about back pain. But really, if everyone viewed low back pain the exact same as elbow pain, like if society just viewed back pain as no different than elbow pain, the amount of injuries would go down because it's the psychological component of how they view it. So the second someone bends over to pick something up and they feel a little tweak, they don't think, well, it's just a little tweak, I'll be fine. They think, oh my gosh, I have back pain. Everyone I know who had back pain has had surgery and is in a wheelchair for the rest of their life, and now I'm done. Like everyone spirals. Right. So there's a really bad societal and biomedical narrative about back pain.
I think my dad had that too. He did it from squatting too much. He was squatting like crazy weight. But I mean, I remember he had back surgery, and I'm curious now. I could have like sent him to you. You probably would have fixed it. For a chiropractic or a chiropractor who has a local clinic, what's the way that you usually would help them? And that probably will segue into the other part of how you help people, but how do you help them drive leads into the business? Because again, most brick and mortars that I see, they just don't do marketing. I mean, it's basically all walk-ins, all referrals.
Yep.
They die and live by that.
Yep.
So if I had a business and I'm brand new and I don't have referrals, how would you drive those into the in-person location?
Yep. So you're absolutely right. Vast majority of offices, I ask them, hey, what's your number one source of new patient acquisition? They say word of mouth, referrals, everything. Okay, for brick and mortar, for really anyone, that's not a good thing to solely hang on to. So for them, one is to helping them develop an appropriate referral strategy. If referrals are working for them, let's juice that up and let's give the people who are referred to you an incentive to do that. But also, especially for us, everything I do is rehab based. So we look for docs, physical therapists or chiropractors who are also somewhat rehab or movement based. The best type of clientele for you is going to be people who also care about rehab and movement. So most people who care about that are already active in gyms, CrossFit gyms, burn zones, Orange Theories, those types of places. So developing a very personal referral system with those types of businesses can be huge for rehab-based docs as well. So one, if they're already getting good referrals, let's give you an actual system behind that. But then, absolutely advertising. And I don't know why it is. Advertising for me, low back pain online seems to be so difficult, but I set it up for brick and mortars, and it seems so easy. I don't know why, but it just works so easy for most brick and mortars. So we'll write an ad for them, we'll edit it for them, and we'll set it up for them. And it's most of them is DM campaigns, not all of them, but most of them are DM campaigns, and they'll just start juicing their office with that. But after they've worked with us, we wait to do that until they have an appropriate sales process, until their assessment process is better from a value standpoint. Like, we'll teach them clinical skills on how to actually get better results too. So once they actually have a better process, better sales process, better assessment process, then we go, okay, now you're ready to close more deals. So now let's turn on the ads.
And how did you segue into that? I probably can guess, but for the listeners, you had an in-person chiropractic clinic, then you moved 100% online. You did that mostly through your social media funnel. We'll get more into that. And then now you, in conjunction with that, also help other chiropractors. How did that come about? Was it a thought, or did a bunch of people ask you? Because a lot of people, it's the same question I get, like, how did you go from building a fitness company all the way over here? So I'm curious what your answer is. How did you get into that?
Yeah, I bet our answer will end up being the same. So I was getting especially through COVID, man, I had a ton of chiropractors reaching out to me. How are you doing this online? How are you doing this online? And once again, at the time, I'm the low back pain guy. I'm not a business coach. So I didn't even see it as opportunity. Just like when I first started posting on social media, people reaching out to me for help with low back pain, I didn't even see it as opportunity.
Right.
So after, the years of doing that, it really just struck me. It's not common for me to get an inquiry, 1 or 2 a month from a fellow doc who's asking what I'm doing and how I'm growing. And it just came to me. And it was just one inquiry, and I went, you know what? I'm gonna book a call with this guy. I'm gonna see if I can actually pick his business apart and see if I can help him. So really, it was nothing different. It was just me recognizing that these inquiries are actual opportunities for me to move into the business coaching space. So I talked to the first person through their business, and I was like, yeah, you need to do this, 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 this. And I doubled their income, and I was like, I guess I should do this more. And I kind of just honestly fell into it.
I think a lot of people, they think it's something you planned, but again, everything I've heard from you so far is, the in-person, you started trying to help people online, people started reaching out to you for help. Then other chiropractors saw what you were doing. They reached out for help. That to me is really how most things come about. It's not that you plan where you're going. It's just as you try to help people, I think those opportunities just show up because people, if they see you're being successful, they want help. And so it just brings more opportunities. So based on that now, I'm curious, do you have a favorite, or do you like them both? I mean, I don't know if you even want to say, but does one of them, does it push you more intellectually? You make more money from it?
If the volume was equivalent from both, I would 1,000% make way more money business coaching. That's relatively
just
obvious.
Less, right? Is there less customers for that?
Well, less for me right now, unless I get to another level with you. I mean, I definitely make more money business coaching. It's not that I have a strong favorability for one over the other, but I think you might be able to resonate with the fact that when you start a new goal or a new mission, it's more exciting because it's different. So like for me right now, I'm really excited about the business coaching because it's new and frankly, I'm really good at it. So,
and you could charge more, right? Is that like, I'm assuming one of the reasons you can charge a lot more just because I would say on average, when it comes to wealth, people are willing to invest a lot more because they know they're going to get the return.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It goes mostly without saying, but if someone comes to you and their goal is money, hey, if I give you X amount, you're going to turn to 2 to 3X that. And I'm a business owner, which means I'm already ambitious with my money and greater goals. All stars are aligned for them to be someone who values you in your position significantly more than someone who, I don't know, maybe they're just a normal middle-class worker and they got some back pain and they want it gone. It's just a very different market. So you can charge substantially more for someone who has a money-based goal and already has significant resources in their pocket, of course.
So for the listeners hearing that business, what's the difference with how you generate leads there? Because in the online chiropractic business, you're essentially doing a lot of organic. With this business, is it the same? Are you doing more ads? Like, how does that lead generation process work?
Our focus, especially with your help, the focus is absolutely ads. Ads is the primary focus with business coaching. Whereas with the low back pain program, it's, 1% ads basically. So because my entire audience I've grown is majority consumers who are looking for help with back pain, not people looking for business coaching.
Right.
But I'm still taking the juice from that account because, of course, there's still a lot of chiropractors and physical therapists that follow me. So I'm trying to take that audience, filter it to get the remaining individuals, and also doing cold advertising too to get chiropractors and physical therapists. So ads is our main focus for sure.
No, I love that. Going back to your following a little bit, obviously, I think the key thing you said that most people should hear is you just tried to help and you just gave away all your secrets. I think that's really good advice. But are there any other tips or tricks, right? Everyone's usually trying to grow social media. Sometimes it's a little bit unpredictable. So is there anything you've done just from growing your accounts? I mean, I think both your accounts are like 500,000 or 800,000. I mean, they're pretty big. Like anything that you would tell people, it's like, hey, these things really you should do and these things you really should not do.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll break it down this way. It's something that is a huge pet peeve of mine. Well, pet peeve is a strong word, but I see this and I just go, what are you doing? Is I see people who post content and it looks like there was zero thought behind it. It was just like, I just need to say something interesting about my life to this camera and it's going to help my business somehow. So like an example is I met a website marketer, a website designer, nice guy. And so I started following because I'm networking with him. And he posted some video talking about his dogs and why he got these dogs and why he named these dogs. And I'm looking at this and I'm just like, dude, your social media sucks. What are you doing? Why are you talking about your dogs? Like the point of your page is to sell the fact that you can help someone boost their website and make more money. Why are you making posts about your dogs? So the way that I think about it is, all right, who's my target audience? What are they coming to my page to resolve? And thinking about what is the tangible problems that they are running into, the actual limitations, what are the daily struggles they're running into, and how can I give to them without being their actual coach and working one-on-one with them, how can I give them the closest possible plan to resolving that without paying me anything? And thinking about that with every single video I make gets me as close as I possibly can to their pain points and to making an impact in their life to where I've grown my social media to where it is now. So I know that's not so much like a bullet list of do this and do this to do this, but really I just see people posting super relevant things or just talking to a camera with titles and that's it. It's like show the most practical, like step-by-step thing you can do to actually solve a problem in that video. And people are going to love it. Like, I don't know.
That's simple. So just trying to make stuff relevant and trying to help.
Yeah. So like even for you, so I see you post about your YouTube, trying to grow your YouTube, trying to grow your accounts more. Even for you, like, and I might talk to you more after this. Like I do think about you when I look at your posts and I think you have some awesome knowledge behind different automations and different things that help you get leads that you don't think are special, But something as simple as, I think if you posted, hey, this automation got me this many more leads in this amount of time. Here's how I set it up. And then it was like even a screen recording of going into Go High Level or whatever and setting it up and how you checked it out. Something really basic that's nothing for you could be super big for the majority of the consumer you're going for. And I think that could get a lot more eyes because it's something that they can go execute, see that it worked and come back instead of just looking at the camera, just talking about entrepreneurship or working hard, which is all great. But like when I look at your content, I think, okay, I don't just make a video and talk about back pain. I show if you have this symptom and this symptom, do this exercise and this exercise. And so for you, if you have this problem in your business, then do this and actually showing how you would resolve it in a way that they can actually do it.
That's a good point. I appreciate that. Yeah, because I think that's a good point on that. I think sometimes where I get caught is if it's like, let's say it's sales, it's hard to like in 60 seconds, like, all right, so if someone says this, do it. But that would be more bite-sized where, or even if you did a lead generation, you're like, hey, here's how you can get followers for 10 cents. And it's like, all right, go here, do this, click that. Like that's something the team could definitely do. So actually good. I appreciate that feedback because it drives me fucking nuts. Like it definitely drives me nuts. And I think sometimes to your point, this might be good for the listeners, is I think it's a hard balance from being a content creator and a business owner. Cause I definitely view myself as a business owner first. And sometimes I feel maybe I put so much time into the business, by the time it comes to the content, you know, you're just like, all right, just like, what are we saying today? And you just kind of say it. But I think I've noticed no matter what it is, if you want something to do well, you have to be really intentional behind it. And you have to put time into it, right? I think like anything. Yeah. So if I think the thing I heard was be a little bit more intentional about what you're posting instead of just, you know, all right, let's just do some clip about working hard or determination, whatever. So I actually like that a lot. Flipping a little bit to more personal development. So that's how your businesses work. I'm a big believer that, you know, a lot of your habits and how you are as a person, how you're trying to develop really makes a big difference. A lot of the people I look up to just have really good personal development. So to start, you're obviously super jacked, right? You're in pretty good shape. Yeah, no, bro, you're in good shape. You definitely are. What's your fitness routine like? And you're busy too. I know you're busy. We've had calls before and you're like walking on the treadmill while we're doing it and stuff. So what's that fitness routine look like that you do?
Right. It's not that crazy right now. It's five days a week. So I usually use the gym as a break in the middle of my day. So I just go Monday through Wednesday. I'll crush some deadlifts on Friday. And then I hit a quick pump in the early AM on Sundays before church. Yeah. That's my routine. And then I get at least 25,000 steps on my treadmill. Most, not all days, but I would say probably more like anywhere between 15 to 25,000 steps on my treadmill per day.
Wow, really? Yeah. That's a lot, bro.
I'm walking while I'm working majority of the time.
Do you ever, so a question on that, do you ever get tired with that? I think sometimes, maybe I'm just being lazy, but I feel I push so hard in the gym that if I'm dieting, that I don't want to do all the steps because I'm tired. So I want to sit down. Is there anything that you think plays into that? So, you know, like how hard you're pushing in the gym versus how many steps you're doing?
I think the determining factor there is something you slipped in, which is how lean you are.
Okay.
You're leaner than I am right now. So like I got a little bit of body fat to spare.
Sure.
But like to your point, when I did like a mini prep for my cruise, getting pretty shredded up for my cruise, I didn't want to do as many steps because I was at a leaner status and I was like, I'm good. I want to go eat some cake. So with where I'm at, I think where most people are at, I don't think, you know, walking at 2 miles an hour for half your day should be that fatiguing on top of training.
Okay, cool. Are there any non-negotiables you've made that have really helped you? So whether it's, you know, I go to bed at a certain time, I read X amount of books, I invest in X amount of things. Is there anything that you do that you really feel really helps you progress in life?
I mean, the biggest commitment I've ever made in my life is I don't miss the gym. That is the rock solid non-negotiable. Sleep, okay, if I got to get work done, I'm going to sacrifice my sleep. If I need to, you know, do whatever else, I'm going to, you know, miss meals or whatever. But like the gym, that truly is a non-negotiable. I will not miss a workout. I might have to move it to really early in the day. I might have to move it to really late at night. I might be doing a workout at 11:30 p.m. while my wife's sleeping. Like that's not uncommon for me. I will not miss the gym now. That is probably my number one non-negotiable. And I think that does keep me on track mentally to have something like that.
I agree with that. I don't know what it is about the gym. I think for me it's more mental, but I mean, obviously it's healthy for you, but I just feel better. Even if I'm tired, I'll take a day off here and there if I'm really tired. Like you can just tell you've really been pushing in the gym, but I just don't feel as good or as productive. It almost feels like when I don't go to the gym.
Absolutely.
I just don't. I feel more foggy. I don't feel like as clear or as much energy. And it kind of seems counterproductive because you're expending a lot of energy at the gym, but I just feel so much better when I stick to that routine.
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah. And for me, balancing stress from kids and stuff too, like I want to make sure like I'm present as much as I can be for them. I'll definitely get shorter with them if I've like missed 2 days at the gym for sure. Cause like you said, it's so mental. It makes you feel so much better too. So if I'm dealing with work stress and blah, 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 and then I got kids screaming in my face for 2 hours, if I haven't worked out that day or a few days in a row, like my patience is definitely lower and I'm just, foggier and like it makes such a big difference.
I actually say this to people. I think I would be in prison if I didn't go to the gym because the stress builds.
Yeah.
And I feel when I go to the gym, it kind of pulls it down.
Absolutely.
And then every time I don't go to the gym, it builds and it builds. And then on top of that, if you're eating bad, I think that builds more stress. You have more inflammation in your body. I just notice when I'm like eating healthy, like whole foods, and I just go to the gym, I'm just way less stressed. Yeah. Like no matter what happens, I just feel better so you can handle it. I think that's a big part.
Absolutely.
Obviously you're married now, but you're a successful guy, you're good looking, pretty tall, all those types of things.
I'm not tall. I'm so average.
Nah,
I'm 5'9", dude.
Bro, 5'9".
What's the average height in the U.S.?
Isn't it 5? I think it's like 5'6", isn't it?
No. 5'9" is straight average height, dude. Well, maybe in the U.S.
Oh, you got 2 out of 3 then. We'll give you 2. we'll give you 2 out of 3. But the question I have is there any advice you would give a younger guy or maybe a single guy, like in terms of dating? Because I'm assuming
dating advice.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm assuming you probably had a lot of options, and so like, is there anything you wish you had done or hadn't done that you could do differently or go back in time and maybe change?
In regards to like dating,
just dating for guys who have businesses. They're busy. They're trying to make money and build it at the same time. I mean, it can be difficult. So is there any advice that you would give, whether it's, hey, just focus on your business till this age, or if you're going to date, look for these traits, or just anything in general that really sticks out to you?
Okay. So I come up with a few things, and I want to preface this with saying, like, I'm not a dating coach, obviously. The woman I'm married to right now, I met her when I was 14 years old.
No way.
So we met before I was in high school.
When did you think it was going to turn into something? Was it high school?
We waited about 2 years to start dating. So
wow.
Yeah. So I met her when I was still 14.
Wow.
We started dating when we were 16, and then we got married when was I 21? Yeah, I just turned 21.
Wow, bro, that is wild.
We've been together a long time.
Wow.
A lot of history.
I didn't even know that. Wow.
Yeah, a lot of history.
That is a wild story.
We met at a Spring Hill Christian camps in Indiana. God brought us together for sure. There's no doubt about that. And I'm incredibly blessed, honestly.
Wow.
It's really special. I'm very, very blessed. But this is kind of funny. So there's certain traits about me back then that I still believe to be true. And I don't think I'm a pro at dating or anything like that, but I'll give the best advice just from whatever my life experience that they can give. But what's really funny about me is this wasn't taught by my parents, but at a very young age, I just took everything I did super serious. So even when I was in middle school, my buddies were getting girlfriends what seemed like every other week. You gotta imagine this. I'm like 12 years old. And whenever like my friends would get stupid little girlfriends, my first question would be, oh, so you're gonna marry him? And they'd always go, what are you talking about? And I'd be like, why are you wasting your time? Why are you wasting the effort? Like, you're telling me that like you're doing something that's supposed to be serious, but you're not serious about it. So like, what's the point of what you're doing? Yeah. So I think it's a little silly to say now, but the concept of it is somewhat true. Is like, I think if you're going to intentionally give someone your time, your emotion, your heart, like your mindset, like you need to have an awareness about who that person is enough to know, like, could that actually lead to a life together? And I think if you're not somewhat confident about the amount of information you have that, like, I want to be intentional about this, I don't see a point in even starting. Like, why are you messing around? Like, if it's just some stupid hookup fling or like, this girl's cute, so I'll just like hang out with her now. It's like, I see that as very childish and very immature.
Sure.
And I was like this literally since I was 12 years old. So my concept behind that would be whatever let's pretend I was single right now. Like, what am I passionate about? I'm passionate about growth. I'm passionate about fitness, and I'm passionate about doing the right thing and doing what I said I was going to do. So I would think, where should I look for a partner who shares those same qualities? Maybe at church, maybe at the gym, or maybe someone who's also in similar entrepreneur groups or something like that. I don't know if that's the best advice, but it's just what I'm coming up with on my own. So if they share similar passions or at least vision for those things, then that's what makes sense to me. But I don't think your interests directly need to be the same, because my wife, who's amazing and we're perfect together, she is very opposite from me in certain aspects. And so I think there needs to be some opposites. And I don't know where those opposites should be, but I think there needs to be some opposites to fill in each other's gaps, to complement each other. So I've always been way more strict, way more regimented, way more like, we need to do this and do this. And from the very beginning, my wife was always like, oh, whatever. Like, I don't feel like working out, so I'm not gonna. Like, no, I feel like eating pizza right now, so I'm gonna do that. You know, I'm making her sound like a fat slob. She's not. She's in like the best shape of her life right now. But to that point, like, she helped me become more go with the flow and relaxed in certain environments. And I helped her become more regimented in the areas that she needed to be in life. And so like, it helped us both move a direction we both needed to go. And so there needs to be a component of that. So I don't know how you mesh that with also having common goals and principles for life, but I think it ultimately comes down to just principles. I
would agree. I think it's two main things. I think that might be advice for guys is, I think the first thing is, I think they should be intentional. Even if they're not sure they're going to marry the girl, right? I think being intentional that at the bare minimum, it's like, hey, I'm going to gather data. Like, I'm getting information with intention to see, what do I like in a girl or not like, right?
Yeah.
Something there. I think step number 2 is what you said, is I do think you need to have similar values. I think whenever I've seen issues, again, I'm not an expert either, but it seems that maybe they're misaligned. They don't value the same things. And then I think maybe number 3 is that it's equal value, ultimately, meaning I don't think relationships is just like, what do I get and what do you get? But I think some relationships, I think they can get lopsided on accident, where maybe one person is contributing a lot more in whatever way that is. And I think ultimately, I don't know, as humans, maybe it's just me, it probably might just be me from business, but to me, I do think there needs to be balance, because balance is good. I think because I think people build resentment if they feel it's too unbalanced, if that makes sense, right? I don't know. I don't know if you'd agree with that, but
I think people will absolutely build resentment if they feel like they're always giving nothing in return.
Yeah.
But the other side to that is I think you should also have the goal of out giving and out serving your partner too, so that you don't accidentally view it as a purely transactional relationship. Because if you do start keeping score, then inevitably you'll develop that mindset as well. So yes, like, it can't just be like, I'm the only one that's giving, but if you start keeping a scorecard to some capacity, now it's a competition. And your goal should always be to outserve the partner so that there is no competition.
Yeah. So you've been married, how many years you been married?
8 years.
8 years. And you've been together for like way longer.
Oh, 6. Been together 15 years, 14, 15 years.
So what are some of the secrets around that? I know we were getting into it a little bit, but
16 years.
Yeah, 16.
Been together 16
That's crazy.
Okay,
There's got to be some secrets around that, because that's crazy. And you're young. So I just
turned 30 in August.
I know, you might set a world record. I mean,
no,
bro, like if you die when you're 100, you guys will be together for
I'm
like
the tallest 5'9" guy on the planet.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm serious. So that's because you guys have known each other since you're 14. I mean, you're gonna hit a pretty big number for sure.
Yeah, we're gonna hit a big number. Yeah.
So what are some of the secrets to staying together, especially? And I would also say when you're still developing, because if you were at 30 and then maybe you're now in your 60s or 70s, but I mean, you were at 14. There could have been a lot of reasons you could have split up 100%.
Oh yeah. That's part of what is really interesting to think about is, to your point, if I were to start dating right now, we're always growing. We're always developing and learning new ways. But for the most part, like, you are who you are really at 30. Like, you've done most of your developing. But at 14, how many different stages of life are you going through and new perspectives you're gaining and how much is your personality changing? A ton. So we really were growing and developing together. And it's really unique. Like we're, going different ways along the same timeline, but still we grew together. Like, I don't know. We grew together. It's very interesting. We went through a lot of different stages.
When things get hard, what's the thought process that maybe keeps you from, just breaking up? I mean, obviously you're married now, but was there anything that really kept you together? Was it like a belief in God? Was it like a certain mindset? Because I think if you can look for reasons to leave someone always. Like you could be, they do that. I think at some point, probably in a relationship that lasts long term, there's got to be something there where you're just like, you know what? Like I'm going to make it work with this person no matter what. I might be wrong again. I'm asking you, but were there any mindsets or methodologies you have that really have made that easier? Really, when things maybe get tough, that you're just like, no, like this is my person. Like I'm gonna go through it no matter what. I don't know.
Yeah. So everyone will fight with their spouse or partner at some point. Like everyone gets in fights. I think, man, if she was here, she would have an amazing answer for that question. She would have a fantastic answer. I think understanding that you're always going to fight, but fighting well is, I think, super important, because if you fight really bad, then you will build resentment and you'll start to track a scorecard. And then in those moments, if you don't know how to fight well, then you're going to think, oh my gosh, this is one of the reasons I should leave. And then the cons, although might be less than the pros, you're viewing them as greater. Because when you're in an emotional state or you're not ending things on good terms, things seem bigger than they actually are. So I think all throughout the stages that we went through in different fights at different stages, I think every time there were two things that we always focused on. And I think one thing was always understanding, like being able to isolate that instance. Like we're upset or we're fighting right now, but we always held on to the perspective that this is an isolated moment in what has been a phenomenal period of time. So we were always aware pros are outweighing the cons every single time, no matter what we feel like in that moment. So almost like not making an emotional decision about how we feel in that moment and always maintaining objectivity of what is the entire history and track record. So that's one. And the other thing is when we are actually fighting, never letting the fight bleed on beyond the fight. That's something I'm better at than she is, but she thanks me for it every time. So there's never been an instance, honestly, not one time, there's never been an instance where a fight was left unresolved. We've never like left and gone and done something different or gone to bed or like gone on with our days without it being resolved. I won't stop the conversation until we're 100% resolved and we're both satisfied with how we're ending things. And I think that's a healthy way to fight. I think there's a healthy way to fight and there's an unhealthy way to fight.
So almost when it's done, it's done. And then you don't drag it into
for sure,
like the next conversation or dinner
or
wherever you're going.
And it's never about who's right. That's never how it ends. That's how it starts. It always starts with, you keep doing this and it's bothering me, or you don't do this, or maybe about some stupid chore or whatever. It always starts that way. But we never end it with who was right and who was wrong. It's how can we both understand why this conflict started in the first place and both feel resolved with our understanding of each other before the conversation's over. So when a fight begins, it's ended in the same session. It's never dragged on to any point throughout the day.
I think that's a very important point you said, because in the past, I actually, I don't do this now. And it's funny, as you mature, you look back and you're thinking, what the hell was I thinking? But I would go, if I would get upset, I'm kind of a brooder. So I don't say anything, but that's the problem. I don't say anything. So, 2 days go by, maybe 3 days, and I'm like, all right, I'll talk about it now. But during that time, it can be very damaging with the person you're with, because they're like, dude, like what is going on? And you're just like, hey, give me space. So I actually like that a lot. And that's something I had to work on. Covered a lot of stuff today, Grant. Is there any question I should have asked you that I didn't, that you think would be helpful for the audience? Is there anything I missed?
Anything you missed that I should be asked?
And if you don't know, that's okay. But I always like to end with that question, because sometimes the right question is to ask what the question should have been.
Yeah. I'm struggling with that. I'm trying to think of something somewhat meaningful or impactful. I don't know, man. I can't think of anything. I can't think of any good questions besides just like principles and values to live by. I don't know. I think like those are just kind of the most important things.
What are some of yours? Share some. Like, what are some that you really live by? Obviously, you're religious, yes?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm religious and just, yeah. Well, I guess life principles can build on that. I don't know. Just simple things. Like the first question you asked me today was very interesting. Like, why am I so polite? I mean, think about that from a business sense. Like, you get people on your side when you're nice to them. Like, I'm sure if that's your impression of me, I'm sure I can get more from you than another one of your clients could who treats you really bad and who acts like you're their employee.
Yeah.
And if I just maintain that nature in everything I do, I'm going to always win more in the end. Like classic how to win friends and influence people mentality. So like, why not be nice? Okay. Like that could just be one, I guess. Another one is, always do what you say you're going to do. Like if you say you're going to do something, word. Like you got to do it. Like you got to maintain integrity in that and do what you say you're going to do. And if everyone did what they said they were going to do, oh my God, like there'd be like a million more millionaires in the world.
I think a lot of shame and guilt comes from lying to yourself. That's at least how I feel. When I say I'll do something and then I catch myself not doing it, that's where guilt and shame come from for me, because then I start doubting myself. Like maybe you're not really that person, right? Like that to me is why keeping your word is so important, because that's where your confidence comes from. That's where you're, that I just think that's where you will feel good about yourself, right? Like even doing stuff, because every time you do something that you said you do, even you don't feel like it, you never after like, oh yeah, I really wish I hadn't done it now.
Yeah.
You're always like, I'm glad I did it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And like, and you said a line in there, don't lie to yourself. Like when people don't do what they say they're going to do, and then they come up with a reason for why it didn't happen or whatever, you're lying to yourself. So maintaining, I talked about this in regards to the relationship conversation, but trying your best, it's difficult sometimes, but to always maintain an objective perspective on yourself and what you're saying versus what you're doing, and holding yourself accountable to those things is, I think, huge for personal development in all ways. So like if you're saying stuff, if you're complaining about your back pain and you're not seeking help and you're saying, I would do anything to fix my back pain, but you're not doing anything about it, then you're lying to yourself and you're hurting yourself, and everyone around you is going to get sick of you and not trust you either. And they're going to get tired of you complaining about your back. And so if you do that same thing in other areas of your life, I need to get in shape, I need to focus on my business, I need to go to church more, I need to whatever, and you're not doing it, then it turns into you being okay that you're lying to yourself, and you're accepting that lying to yourself is okay. And then you're not going to hold yourself accountable for anything. And then no one else is going to trust you either. And like that single principle, I think, could deteriorate someone's satisfaction in life and success massively. It's like, just do it. I don't know.
Yeah, no, those are good points. Yeah, any others you wanted to share? Is those two?
I can't think of anything else on the spot.
No, you're good. I think life's really simple, and it's usually what you take away, not what you add. I think that's kind of a secret I've learned. Even when I'm in better shape, it's like I just eat less different types of foods, and I keep it simple. Or like I do the same type of workouts, or when my businesses are going well, it's just simpler. I don't know. I think a lot of times people are trying to add stuff, and I think a lot of times it's just taking stuff away. So like what you said, just keep your word to yourself. Like, it's pretty simple. It's just most people won't do it, right? Or it takes effort, right? But it really is simple. It's like you say you're going to do something, do it. And then a lot of good comes from that versus, people, they make up bullshit, right? They just say stuff about whatever. Where can people find you if they want to connect with you? Where's the best places to go?
Yep. Rehab Fix on all platforms.
That was very simple. Thanks for coming today, Grant. Appreciate you, bro.
Thanks, dude.
All right, man. You're the man, bro. Appreciate you.